Nightside Project. Finish the day happy with Ethan Millard and Alex Keary on KSL News Radio.
Welcome to the Nightside Project. I'm Ethan Millard here with Alex Keary, and we are continuing our coverage at the Sundance Film Festival, where we've just met so many interesting, amazing people, and they're doing the coolest stuff, and we've got that again today. We've got Virgil Williams, who is screenwriter for a film that everyone is talking about, and that's Mudbound. Virgil, congratulations on an amazing film. When I say everyone's talking about it, this is one of the films of this festival. I mean, it's just captured everyone's attention, and people are just loving it.
Thank you.
My
face hurts. I'm smiling.
That must be really gratifying.
You can't see it on radio. His face is just exploding with it.
Last night I had cramps in my cheeks, man. It's crazy.
How do you?
It's amazing.
I mean, there's one thing to get a film into Sundance,
yeah,
and then there's another to say, "Oh yeah, no, this is the one that's getting all the buzz."
It's one thing just to get a film made.
Yeah,
just to get a shot.
We were just talking to another actor, producer, writer, and he was like, "You guys, the amount of sweat equity you put into all these art, all these pieces of art, and all these projects that you do, you've put your money into it, you've put your soul into it, and then in the end, maybe you do the festival, and maybe you do all these things, maybe you're successful even in the payoffs there, and then it's all, anyway, what are you going to do next? And then it's like, anyway, where's your next screenplay?
You don't have to think about that. Just enjoy this moment.
That's what I'm trying to stay present. I'm trying to stay present.
So tell us about Mudbound. We've got kind of a World War II Southern.
Yeah.
There's all of the things that are implied in that, with the race relations, with the situation that people were dealing with segregation still in the South. Tell us about what the movie's about and what people are buzzing about this movie so much because of. Why do they love it so much?
Well, I think right now it resonates with people because I truly believe we're in a sort of second civil rights movement. I believe that, and regardless of what your politics are, right now in 2017, we are, it feels like to me, the divided states of America. And again, regardless of what your politics are, the sort of vitriol that you hear coming from our president, is very, it's inflammatory. And regardless of sort of what side you fall on, but you do have to pick a side. There's not really any middle right now.
Well, and it feels like we're having to relitigate some fundamental principles that we kind of thought we'd had set up pretty well.
Yes, sir.
Things like equality and freedom and what those things mean.
Yeah.
We're kind of having to fight about them again. It seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what your film is looking back at?
You take a movie like Mudbound. Mudbound is about, it takes place right before, right during, and right after World War II in the Mississippi Delta. And it's about two families, one black and one white. And the black family works on the farm that the white family owns. Son from the black family, he goes off to World War II. He's a tank commander and a war hero. Son from the white family goes off to World War II. He's a bomber pilot and a war hero. And they both go through it. So when they come back to the Delta, they're really the only two guys that can relate to each other. The only two guys that can understand each other.
They come from very different backgrounds.
Well, yes, they're again, white and black, in that time, in that geography, that's very different backgrounds. So as you can imagine, in a Jim Crow South in 1945, a black kid and a white kid being friends, hijinks ensue.
Yeah.
So I think the reason Mudbound is also sort of, punching everyone in the gut right now is because the more things change, the more they stay the same. And it sort of depends on, where you sit in the world. A lot of people will tell you that equality, we've never really gotten there. Yes, Obama was the 44th president of the United States of America. But, there's still a whole lot of inequality happening, socio and economic inequality. Black boys and girls are dying in the streets. I'm born and raised in Chicago, so my city's a war zone right now.
I was going to say, Chicago itself, when you talk about just the numbers of people who, the murdered rates and things like that, you can get into it and you go, wow, we haven't come as far as we thought. We were patting each other on the backs for the last 30 years ago. We've come a long way,
and we have. I don't think we
sure.
I don't think we can discount the fact that Barack Obama was president for 8 years.
Yeah,
we can't. You can't. That can't make that small.
Well, but what kind of feels a little bit different. What feels like, what to me has changed is, we saw these principles, for example, equality and civil rights, and we weren't perfect. We're still working on a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I grew up believing that we had settled on a consensus that we were trying to fulfill.
Mm-hmm.
And now, though, in 2017, there are people that are trying to tear apart that consensus. I mean, we're no longer just saying, yeah, we need to do better on civil rights. We need to fulfill our promise.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are people saying, powerful people saying, we never made that promise in the first place.
Yeah. Well, and it's just a crazy time right now, guys, because there's a lot of revisionist stuff going on.
Yes.
There's a lot of people, there's a lot, a lot of fake news that's happening. It's a strange, this sort of flat denial of things that happened or didn't happen. It's a very peculiar. So when you look, it's hard to look at history because people are rewriting it.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you, fully. There's sort of an American consensus to get better. And what has happened is that I think that segment got marginalized.
Yes.
And the strange thing about this Trump presidency, now we're political.
No, that's why you meant the movie, right?
Well, it's I don't think any of that would have been possible if Barack Obama hadn't been president. It's a pendulum swing.
We're speaking with Virgil Williams here on the Nightside Project, and you had now of course you've got these TV writing credits with ER, Criminal Minds, and people are looking at that. This is a totally different animal, totally different beast. You have the challenge also of a book of the same title, adapting that, putting it to a screenplay. What were the challenges there, or how much fun did you have with it?
It was a blast. I write network television. I've been very blessed, to be working since 2001. My first gig was on 24. And I've stayed working, but network television is a very different beast. It's network television. You're doing 22 to 24 episodes, and there's and it's for network. So there's not a whole lot of. You're not going to get really raw. You're not going to get And I've been on Criminal Minds for the last 6 years. So if you don't watch Criminal Minds, we do a lot of dark stuff that you wouldn't imagine is on CBS. But still, it's still very network. So I'm a writer, and I need to express a certain variety of creativity, what I mean? And when you do the same thing over and over again, look, it feeds my kids and it pays my mortgage and I am blessed beyond words, but I need to exercise that.
Yeah.
So the challenges were, I'd go to work all day. I found this book found me 7 years ago. I would go to work all day or go to set or whatever we were doing, wherever I was in the season. And then I'd come home at night and I'd sit down with my wife. When I first found it, I hadn't had my second child yet. And I'd have dinner and hang out for a little bit. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to the Delta. And I would go into the office. And so it was nights and weekends.
That's amazing.
It was a plan. You know what? I'm going to make this into a screenplay.
How did you said the book found you? How did that happen?
Well, I switched agencies because at the agency I was at, I wasn't getting a whole lot of attention in the feature world. Again, like TV, I'm working. But I wanted to, like I just said, sort of express myself. So I switched agencies and I sat down with their book agents and said, I want to adapt books. Send me books. What have you got? And I told them I love stories. I'm half black, half Latino, and born in Chicago, like I said before. So, which is a city that's notoriously segregated.
So a quarter Polish, right?
Yeah, quarter Polish. Yeah, a quarter Polish, a little Italian also in there. So I've always been about crossing color and class and race lines my whole life. So I told them I like stories about that, about redemption, about race, about America. And they sent me a stack of books, and Mudbound was the third one.
Really?
And it grabbed me by the throat.
Wow.
And it felt like, it felt like God gave me my orders. It felt like this is what you're doing.
Hillary Jordan, the author of Mudbound, by the way, the actual book. So it's a recommended read then for people?
Hillary Jordan is not only an incredible author, but an incredible person. We've become friends.
That's great.
And read the book. Go get the book. You'll devour it.
I want to bring something up about 24.
Yes.
First of all, how dare you with Nina? Okay. Second of all,
he goes way back. You know what he's talking about.
Listen. I wanted to bring this up because now the norm is we binge watch things. Mm-hmm. We will go and we'll find whatever platform we can to stay up all night. Yep. And it brings marriages together or tears them apart, whatever you want to see. Yeah. But there are some things that like you can come together with people. So I remember being in college, and 24 was
making me feel old, man.
Right, I'm in college. I'm in college, and this is 2002, 2003.
2001 was the first season, I think.
But you know what happened was it had built up. you know how we binge watched back then?
You didn't really.
No, we went to Blockbuster.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
So we went to the video store,
That's
and
right.
you're like, "Give me disc number 4 right now." And they're like, "It's out," and you got
That's
like you're
right.
fourth in line.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was like, you're fourth in line to get this
That's right.
next TV, and you're like yelling at the clerk at Blockbuster, like, "You guys had to buy more copies of this." And then you're like turning the table over. You're like, "You know where I am in season 2,"
Yeah.
and like you're out of there. And I thought this is amazing because I actually thought back. When was the first thing you binge watched? And for me, it was 24 because we would be enthralled, and it's 2 a.m. and you're sitting around with I don't care who. The lights are out, and then it ends, and you grab each other and you grab a pillow, and you're like, "What?"
Yeah, just one more. You can stay up for one more. You can make one more.
Yeah,
You can do one
it's
more.
like, dude,
Yeah.
well, my class is at 8. It's 6:30 right now. We might as well stay up. We can get 2 more episodes in.
Yeah.
And we made games out of guessing what time it would come back from the breaks from, and like if you won that lottery, you get like $50. And we had a pool. So 24 was my opening to binge watching.
That's awesome.
Think about how far we've come now.
Yeah.
How have you had to adjust your writing and to the attention span that has shortened and yet desires
so much,
like as much as you can eat?
That's a great question. The business is changing. When I started, it was really Fox and some cable, Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC, the big 4. And some random cable stuff. And if you were working network, you didn't want to work cable because it wasn't as much money. And it was and everything. The whole business has changed.
Yeah.
Now I can carry around my phone, and I can pull up Netflix, and I can watch. I can sit at the bus. I see kids doing it all the time.
Right.
So my again, I'm on network, so I haven't had to make a big adjustment. If I'd switched to a cable show, sort of to a little 10-episode deal or a little, I would have to drastically change. But I went from 24 to ER to Criminal Minds, and those are all very sort of
small shows, real small, unknown. Yeah.
But they're all episodic. They're all episodic dramas that are sort of traditional.
And the line continues sort of through, and the characters continue through.
And there's you bring a little bit of every show that you're on to the next. And I like to say that those guys taught me a lot. Guys like Howard Gordon and Joel Cerno and Evan Katz taught me a lot about that. A lot about writing to make people want more. How you write your scenes, you construct your scenes with a certain pitch and they taught me all about velocity and writing lean and a hook at the end of your scene so that you want to go like, we used to say in the room all the time, it's sort of a phrase, you take phrases from writer's room to writer's room, but you want people to lean forward, you know what I mean? You want that lean forward thing, and that's what 24 all day.
Episode for every break, by the way. Like not even just the end of the episode. The end of the episode was a massive hook. And I look at it now, what's the attitude within the industry of you're a network writer. You've written for the network. You still write for the networks, which in itself is a huge accomplishment to keep in that vein of writing from great show to great show. And now also the script has been flipped in terms of content production. Everybody's putting everything out, and now suddenly these small cable little
making noise.
AMC, A&E, all these things, they are making huge waves. And there's this like little, he was on Breaking Bad. He did this. He wrote for this. So does that change what you do? And you say, you know what, we've got to have a different line because they're allowed to do X, Y, and Z. And so on my show, we've got to be able to still create that, maybe that dark side. I mean, CBS is more open, I think, to being a little bit more along those lines, right?
Yes. I mean, you have to. You got to keep up with the Joneses, man. So you got to stay good. You got to stay relevant. You got to tell good stories.
Yeah.
I think that's really what it all comes down to. You can put as many hooks and ratchet up your tension and do all that. If it's not a good story and they aren't compelling characters, nobody's gonna care.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing you've worked on?
Oh God, you put me on the spot.
I mean, do you like doing? I mean, the feature thing. Are you gonna live in that world for a minute?
I think the answer to that is like the thing I'm working on now. You know what I mean? Like, because I've taken so much from every job I've ever had.
What do you think got you the biggest break?
24.
Yeah.
That was my first job. So 24, without a doubt. From a particular altitude. If I fly at super high altitude and look at my life, when I was a kid, I was an actor. And I got cast in The Blues Brothers because they shot it in Chicago.
Yeah.
So that's really when it started.
Really?
That's when it was like I knew I want to make movies. I want to make TV. And I was always that kid, with a stack of comic books or like right underneath the television, all the time, or always at the movies or watching movies 10, 15, 20 times. That was just how I kind of rolled. But that's really what did it. But 24 was my introduction to that.
The movie's Mudbound, and boy, I think Ethan said it great at the beginning. First thing as you come in is congratulations, because I mean, for one, you know what, when you make something great, you go, that feels great to me. We made something great. When everybody else is giving you feedback that it's great,
it's incredibly affirming. And I got, this, you don't do any of this alone. So I got to give crazy props and credit to Hillary Jordan, who wrote the book. Crazy props to Dee Reese, the brilliant Dee Reese, who co-wrote the script with me and then directed this beautiful film out in New Orleans. And we shot this thing on a slave plantation, so that was pretty deep. That was a very powerful, sort of resonant thing.
To be actually on a relevant location.
Yes, sir. You could feel it. You could feel it.
Really?
And there were plantation houses because it's on we shot mostly. It's in Vacherie, Louisiana, and so there's a stretch of plantations, and you can take the tours and stuff. So these big old oak tree alleys, and it's just powerful.
Why do you think that is? Because in Hollywood they can recreate any location anywhere they want. What was it about being there that made it so powerful?
That's you can, because Criminal Minds that FBI team goes all over the country. So every week, we may be in Arizona one week and then New York City the next.
Right.
So you can really do that in Los Angeles to great effect. But when you're there, it's different. It's different. If you see the movie, there's these big, beautiful, Rachel Morrison, our DP, another genius. These big, beautiful wide shots of the expanse and the sky and Louisiana, and a sort of topography that is hard to mimic. And you feel it. It does. That stuff does hit the film. And to the trained eye, you see it. Like if you were watching a boxer and you box a lot, you'd say, oh, look at these. And if you've never watched boxing, you're like, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
But you'd feel it. You'd feel it if you don't have the untrained. If you're just a sort of, you just like movies.
Yeah.
You'll feel it.
What's the next step for the film? How's like a guy like me or somebody who just is, how can I see it? How are you going to get it to as many people as you can?
I think we got to sell this thing, man. I think a distributor has to step up and make a purchase, and have a big theatrical release so you can, take the wife, and take the girlfriend and go buy a ticket and
you can't take both at the same time, by the way.
No,
that doesn't work out well.
Guys would be bad. You're gonna have to go twice. Go see it twice and act like you didn't see it. Whoever goes next.
Oh my gosh! You should see this next part. I mean, what?
Yeah.
This is my favorite part. Oh!
I mean, my guy told me he was awesome.
Well, thank you for being with us today.
You guys,
Virgil
please,
Williams is the writer in our room here, and we're pleased to have him. The film is Mudbound, and you will hear more about this.
Read the book.
Read the book first. Yeah. See, that's great now too. Think about all the platforms everybody can get their books on. Click through that Kindle. Click through it. You can get everything right there. And I love being able to test where books are versus the films that are afterwards. So I'm gonna email you after and be like,
yeah, do it.
Yo, man, why'd you cut out X, Y, and Z? I can't believe you didn't have time for that. Okay,
I'm sure he'd love to get that email.
Remember me? I was at Sundance. And listen,
anyway,
I got a few notes. I know the film's already made. Let me give you some notes.
Okay, for next time.
For next time. All right. The Nightside Project continues on for Ethan Millard. Thank you very much, Virgil Williams, for being with us.
Thank you. I appreciate you both.
All right, taking the break here. Coming back.
Thank you, Utah. Utah's awesome.
This is look, we're locals, so we appreciate that. Yeah. For Ethan Miller, Alex Keary, and for Virgil Williams, the Nightside Project continues. We'll see you on the flip side.